Yeah.
And I think somebody just... Are we recording right now?
Yes, of course.
Gluck.
Edit all this out.
He's not going to.
No.
He's just going to jump in.
Yeah.
And Collin looked down.
Yeah. In shame.
Well, this brings us right back to Rabbit Troop Sucks. And today we're going to look at A Far Off Place from 1993. The synopsis on IMDb is, when a gang of African poachers raid her family's farm, young Nonnie, visiting American teenager Henry Winslow and a local bushman guide, must escape into the Kalahari Desert and reach the nearest town. And as always, I am your host, Paul, but we are not with Mike today. We are Mikeless, and we are here with...
There's so many mics.
There are a lot of microphones. We are here. Next to me is back with Nemo. Hi, Nemo.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, you'll be filling in for Mike today.
I will try my best. He's a very large man.
We have Collin.
Hey.
We have La-Mar.
What is that?
And in studio, we have Jeremy.
Yeah. I'm back, Denver.
You did it.
This is a bizarre setup.
And we're a podcast about obscure, forgotten about, and often overlooked films. And yeah, today we're looking at A Far Off Place, 1993. One of the reasons I selected this movie is I am pretty positive Jeremy and I saw this movie in the theater in 1993 for my birthday. So we're revisiting this movie. This is a Disney film that is playing nowhere. It is never talked about. It is never really brought up anywhere. It has notable people in it, and Disney doesn't stream it, which is kind of crazy. So definitely forgotten about, overlooked, weirdly blocked. And I think we have some ideas maybe going into this. Are Jeremy and I the only... And I know La-Mar watched this with me a handful of years ago. Or Nemo, Collin, you have not seen this film before?
Nope.
Correct. On my 14th birthday, we went to see Zoolander.
Nice. I like Zoolander. Was your friend David Bowie there?
It was... yeah, right. It was definitely not the same experience as seeing A Far Off Place.
This one, Zoolander, more jovial for you and the fam.
There were less elephants.
That's true.
Well, I think that's why this movie is not promoted by Disney. I mean, there's murdering that takes place. Like, animals are murdered. People are murdered. Yeah.
Yeah. So
kids are being hunted.
Yeah. So let's go with his kids. We got Reese Witherspoon and we got Ethan Embry. Ethan Embry also went by Ethan Randall for quite some time. Reese Witherspoon, I mean, we have most notable now, The Morning Show, Walk the Line, Election, Legally Blonde. Ethan Embry, he plays Harry Winslow, Vegas Vacation, That Thing You Do.
You are right.
They're both in Sweet Home Alabama.
You are right. I did see recent pictures of him. He grew up to be a fine young lad, but he's way different than what he's way different than his childhood.
Yeah, I mean, I feel so. Ethan Embry, he was also in Dutch, and he kind of reminds me at first. The first half of this movie is him from Dutch.
Yeah, he's such a dick, dude. The first half of this movie.
So yes. you feel there's like a metamorphosis of this character?
Yeah, but it almost like happened like immediately.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't necessarily a metamorphosis. It was just like, I'm a dick. Okay, I'm not going to be a dick anymore.
I do feel he changes. Like, I honestly, to hand it to the character, I agree with Jeremy. Like, when we get there, I do feel there is a pretty just sudden change, but I do feel his acting ability of I'm being a dick and then I'm not. Like, I totally believe both sides of him. So, like, I'm kind of conflicted, Jeremy, because I'm like, damn it, like, I'm believing you. But how it happens, I'm like, was there just, like, a heavy edit to this film? Like, what the hell happened?
I mean,
people
lost parents.
Yeah.
People lost their parents. Like any Disney movie, all the parents die. And so that's usually what happens. And then, similar to what Collin was bringing up, when you're kind of stuck in the desert, you have to change to stay alive. That's it.
There's like a hard cut with no montage that takes place over 2 months.
And we'll get back to these parents dying too, because, I mean,
spoiler.
Yeah, they get over it pretty quickly, in my opinion.
Is it really a spoiler though? is a Disney movie. Like, you have to emphasize it is a Disney
Yeah,
movie.
but we'll talk about like the
Disney's murder, death, kill.
yeah, but like it's pretty. The deaths in this movie is pretty heavy. This is not, I feel, your typical Disney movie. So part of what I read in the trivia was there was an original director, and they canned him and like other people on this film because they weren't like, it was quote unquote he was above his head, out of his depths. Like, he didn't know what he was doing. The shots were out of focus. They hire some other people. I wonder if they used any of this guy's other stuff. I'm just kind of curious. The director, Michael Solomon, I think, is Hard Rain.
It's like Blue Lagoon,
Band of
sequels.
Brothers. Yeah, lots of episodes of stuff.
Do you think his dad was King Solomon?
It could have been.
So what happened to the first one? The
Just
original-
fired.
You just fired. So he was the director. Was this a script that was brought? I guess I'm bringing too much to the table with this.
So also, I think I noted, I think I said this on air. If not, the writer of these books, Lawrence Vanderpost, these are two books I own. This movie, A Far Off Place, is based on two of his books, A Story Like the Wind and A Far Off Place. And these are like my bucket list books. I've owned these for quite some time. I'm like, I will read these both before I die. I'm just very curious.
What's stopping you?
I just like usually just not enough time because I really want to take my time with these books.
You should hire somebody that reads the book as they follow you around.
That'd be wonderful. Yes,
Dude,
listeners.
you could just get an audiobook.
Yeah, it's an audiobook.
It's not the same, Colin.
It's not the same.
Would you like one of us to do that?
Yeah, if you're just following me around and like reading this to me, yeah. Like, is it in a nice voice?
No. Happy
Oh.
birthday, buddy.
Oh no, then
You just get our normal voice. Nothing special.
no.
Ouch.
The chef Nigella, I've always said like she has like this very proper, beautiful British accent. Like, can Nigella read me and my wife both of these books at
yeah.
night? That'd be fantastic.
She just reads you to sleep each night.
Oh my god, that'd be just great.
What if you get Nemo in her best British fake accent?
Oh, no one wants that, because all I could say is, I can't do it.
In it. Indigo.
That seems like dirty British. Like, governor, like, then the dog was in the desert, and you're like, oh Jesus. Yes. But jumping into it, yeah, this movie is brutal on its opening scene. As we noted, it's not playing anywhere. I own the DVD on this. I bought this a handful of years ago at the start of the pandemic because I was like, oh, like La-Mar told me he never saw this movie. We're at a small projector that played DVDs. We're going outside. Again, pandemic times. Now I found out like the DVD's worth like money. Like, well, I think like everything's worth money. Just like things that don't stream or whatever. I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, I got it for like $5. But yeah, I couldn't even rent it anywhere, I don't think. So it was like DVD only. So yeah, let's speculate kind of going throughout. But the opening sequences kind of add to that speculation for me. You get a bunch of piece of shit poachers just going for elephants. And that's the backdrop of this film, that there are poachers, heavy poaching. Like, it's just not like here and there. It's like massive amounts of poaching.
It's machine gun poaching.
Yeah.
This literally the first 10 seconds is a machine gun going to town on a herd of
grilling.
elephants.
Yeah,
It's insane.
and you think that's bad. Well, part two is a baby elephant is like hugging its dead parents. And you're like, oh my God. You think that's bad. Then the chainsaw starts and some guy's just like cutting off the tusks of dead elephants. It's like, it's not pulling punches. I told everyone in the room, it's one of the reasons I like this film. This is awful. And this
I
movie's
love
like,
this film because it's butchering.
well, and this movie's not like there's some dead elephants. It's like, do you want to see a dead elephant? Like, do you want to see like what's really happening? Like, if you want to buy ivory and you want to be like part of this system, like this is how you get it. I'm like, damn. So like, maybe that's one of the reasons Disney's like, ooh, maybe this is like a brutal message. Maybe Disney was in bed with the Ivory Company at this point in time. Who knows?
I was just pretending that the elephants were laying down on
going to sleep.
command and
Yeah.
just lay down
were
and stay for
sleeping.
this few scenes
They're
that was
very
going to
tired.
happen.
I feel like when
They were tired of being shot.
I was just like, nope.
I feel like the animal trainers that worked on this scene were going for that, and they did it well because
Yep.
it looked like they were just laying down. Really,
I mean, for real though, like if we watched another Disney film, don't you think it would have just been like like an elephant in the background, and then you would have seen something, and then you would have heard like pop, pop.
That's very true.
Yeah, like insinuating that this animal is not.
Yeah, I mean, for this movie is just like, this is butchery, and this is terrible, and this animal is dead because it had tusks, and now it's dead. I was like, good God. Yeah.
Like if you didn't tell me this were Disney, I would have wouldn't like, whatever. Yeah, this is just a company doing this. But now that I know that it's Disney, it puts me in another mindset. Like, how did this greenlit? And
are you going to write a letter?
Are they
Roger
going for
Iger?
just the shock factor, or is this normal for them? Did they think they're just going to shoot this movie and they're like, whatever? Or did they really want a reaction? I feel like there's a big. At the end, didn't they play a little disclaimer about?
Oh yeah, like no animals were hurt. Like
yeah,
like, yeah.
That they're part like that other like animal activists are like, it's okay, it's not harming animals per se.
Makes you think, is this movie just a message to say, hey, this is happening in Africa, stop it? Or is it a Disney movie?
It's kind of one of the reasons I want to read the book. I mean, it's based on 2 books, which is kind of interesting. I wonder what it's about. When I was looking up some of the user reviews, it was also weird that they mention this movie called Walkabout. It's an Australian film where like 2 children are led through a desert by an Aboriginal, and they were like, yeah, it's this movie kind of redone, but it's not. I looked it up. That has clearly it's based on a different book by a different author, and there might be similarities, but yeah, like I don't know what that's about. I would like to see that movie at some point in time. You can rent that film, so I did say you can.
Why are they hiding all these movies?
No, I said you can. You can.
You can? Okay.
You can.
All right.
That one you can, in fact, rent.
All right.
But this one you cannot. Yeah, well, as we talk about the opening sequence, we get these poachers, and then we get who we're going to learn is Colonel Mopani, who plays a role throughout this film, and he immediately just mows down 2 of these dudes. I mean, they pick up guns and they aim it at him, like he claims self-defense.
He takes them out.
Yeah, like he is not in the wrong for this. And then one guy like puts down his chainsaw, and you're kind of just left wondering, like, what did he do? Like, my thought is he shot him. What did you guys think?
I knew he's gonna. If he was gonna shoot him, he would have shot him
over. And you don't know what happens after that,
but you also find out like Mopani's kind of more of a hothead. Like I feel we would probably be not like a reasonable hothead. Like he's like, we got to do action. We've got to go after people. And his friend, which we'll find out is Reese Witherspoon's father. He's like, no, diplomacy. We've got to talk to people. We got to meet people. And Mopani's like, yeah, that's cool that you want to do that, but like meanwhile, elephants are dying, people are dying. Sweet, dude.
Yeah, there's a Phil Collins song about that.
There's a lot of exposition in the beginning of this. Like, you don't really know who the villains are, the way they're talking. Mopani, who I'm just going to call Sean Connery. Guy looks just like
sure.
Sean
No,
Connery.
he is bootlegged Sean Connery. But yes.
Like Sean Connery.
Yes.
But you really don't really know what they're up to. It's just a bunch of talk about hunting poachers. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, you don't know, like, because he called that guy over, I wasn't sure if he was the good guy or the bad guy, or he was trying to get someone to be on his side. So I was like,
he's got that in his eyes.
Yeah.
I totally agree, Nemo. Like in his eyes, like when you first see him,
Yeah.
you're just like, what's this dude's deal? Like, did he just shoot the poachers and keep all of the tusks for himself?
Exactly.
They kind of allude to what is happening here, but it's not really clear yet, which I kind of like. It gives you a little question going into the movie about who the real villains are.
You also see a quick cut to Xhabbo, who is experiencing what is later known, and we'll talk about, a tapping. He's tapping his chest, he's closing his eyes, he's breathing, and you, the audience, hear kind of this overlay of what's to come. You hear some audio sounds, you hear people's names, you hear gunshots, explosions. He clearly understands something. You, the audience, don't fully understand anything outside of something's happening. He's experiencing something. He passes out, and his wife catches him. We only know it's his wife later from future conversations. But yeah, and then we meet Reese Witherspoon and her father. It's Nonnie. Nonnie is Reese Witherspoon. Collin asked a great question throughout. Was she born there? And we found out she was.
Yeah.
Yay.
They're just born there.
Also, is this like some kind of is this like a farm, or is this just some kind of like outpost in the middle of the jungle or whatnot?
So in theory, it's my understanding that she is an African white woman that was born there, a white girl, because she's 17 when we meet her, or whatever the age is, like teenage-wise. And her father is actually the wildlife commissioner, so that he's out there to essentially stop the poaching, and that's why they're talking about like diplomacy and stuff like that, but he hasn't been able to really catch whoever's doing the poaching.
And we also found out is like a super nice dude because on the way over, when Harry, who is Ethan Embry, is there, his driver is like, this guy got kickstarted, that like this farm was like being built and all of the money is being split equally. Like clearly in the past, people were like, you get 5% of this. And like, this guy was like, no. Like you'll just split the commission. Everyone's going to make like decent wages. And everyone's like, cool, this dude's dope. Like he doesn't want animals dying. And he's like providing jobs and money. Cool.
Everything's good so far. And then mainly they use this farm for just blowing up shit. It's just an explosion farm.
I'm assuming they're trying to dig for a well, and instead of digging, they're like, it's a lot easier just to blow it up.
Yeah, it seems like their specialty is explosives, though. Harry is introduced, but I'm not exactly sure how he got there. So
yeah, why is he there?
So on vacation.
Yeah,
He's on vacation.
Yeah.
So
wow.
That was his reaction too. It's like, this is my vacation instead of Utah.
So the background is this: Harry and Harry's father are visiting Africa to see Nonnie's parents, and Harry's dad was very good friends with. I'm sorry, Harry's mom was very good friends with Nonnie's mom, and probably dad as well. And Harry's mom passed away several years ago, and they're just visiting. And I think it's Harry's dad really just wants to reconnect and spend time with his son and really see old friends. And Harry wanted to go to Utah to go skiing, and he's being really bitchy about being in Africa at this point.
Real bitchy.
And that is dead parent number 1. Because that's what we find out first.
That's true.
Harry's your typical just upstate New York kid. He's dressed. He's got his shirt tucked in the whole movie. That's a spoiler there. He does not want to be here. Clearly, he wants to ski in Utah.
I mean, that's kind of fair. Like he's from New
He's
York
like Tom
and he wanted
Hanks
to go
and
to
Volunteers.
Utah. Yeah. With a better accent.
Definitely.
Buck up, buddy. Come on, big guy.
So I think that's when we get to see like the relations, and what essentially happened is that Harry, being such a city boy, doesn't really know his surrounding. All he had on was his headphones, not paying attention to what's around him, and then he starts following a lizard. Yeah. And then going into this place that legit says,
keep out.
and that's where Nonnie and her father had already had explosive and stuff like that, but he didn't know that because he was unaware. And who saves him? The girl,
Nonnie.
Yep.
And then he complains, what the hell's going on here? He's knocked back because she jumps basically off a boulder of sorts to knock him back as things explode. He in a fun way introduces himself. He's dirty, everyone's dirty. And that's kind of how they part ways. And then we basically get to a night scene. It's becoming evening. They're eating dinner. Harry eats dog food because he thinks it's pate, or is it cat food?
It's dog food.
It's dog food.
He eats dog food because he thinks it's pate. Nonnie laughs at him. At night, there's dancing. You see kind of the harmonious nature of the people living there, working the farm. Also kind of just working together. It's kind of nice. You also see a side sequence where Nonnie's dad is talking to Mopani, and that's where Mopani's like, I'm sick of these people. We've got to go in. And we also meet John Ricketts. John Ricketts stops by. He also works for Nonnie's dad. He's like, we're never going to really stop all these people. Like, maybe we should just cease and desist. And Nonnie's dad's like, there's a group of people and they're going to move this stuff and they're hunting these animals and we've just got to stop it. And you can just tell Nonnie's dad is like a straight up do-gooder. I like it. He seems all action and in ways like thoughtful action. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I will say a part of that whole scene that you describe is his that you see Harry's attraction to Nonnie, because he is watching her the whole time through the event, even when talking with her at the table about, hey, do you want this pate? He's trying to flirt with her as any teenage boy would at that time. And so it's just like, and paying attention to how she's engaging. And so I think that's where the beginning of like that chemistry is, because at the whole time she's not noticing him, just that he's just silly and stuff, but he's noticing her.
Yeah, and she's for me, she's a totally interesting character because of this. Because, I mean, yes, she is. I mean, I didn't know if she was, born there. She was born there, but she was at least there for years. Like, that's clearly evident. So
she's kind of a badass too.
Yeah, that's why she's super interesting. Like, she focuses on like super important things, and I think that's like abundantly clear in her character. It's like, we're building something. That's like what we need to pay attention to. There are people in need. There is a greater need. Let's pay attention to that. And Harry's more like, whatever, like, what's a new song? Like, I want to go play basketball and go to a movie theater. And he talks about this. And she, I think, overall thinks those are small things.
Yeah.
And he's like, I could charm her with that. And she's like, not really. Like, your stuff's bullshit.
Well, yeah, like when they introduced her and she was talking to her dad, she was telling her dad that, Mopani thinks I'm ready to go. Like, she's ready to go out and start hunting poachers. And he's like, there's no way you're going to do that. And she's just like, well, what, you're going to make me babysit some American kid? So she already is like predisposed to hating Harry. And she does kind of right off the bat.
Yeah, she sneaks out. She's like, I'll sneak out in the night and go murder some poachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also her dad is like very, like, I love her dad's, I know it's brief and we'll get to why, but like, I love her dad's, killed Colin. I love her dad's direct dialogue because she's like, yeah, she wants to go out with Mopani, as Colin said, like, I'm all ready. And he's like, no one's going to change until you actually sit and start talking to people. And she has to actually like think about that. Like, and she respects him, which is like, you could see it directly in her eyes. Like, he might be right. I need to think about this. And it's really like this. And she's like, what? Like, Mopani disagrees with you? He's like, yeah, we're friends. We disagree all the time. She's like, what? I can't disagree with you? And I love this line. He goes, you could disagree with me, but not disobey. And I was like...
that was a good line.
But I thought it was, like, nice, because like, you could just tell it's, like, it's sincere. It's not like you could never talk to me. It's you could always talk to me, but you're still my child, and you're still learning. I was like, I saw it. I like it. It makes what's about to happen worse.
Yeah, that's true. Reese Witherspoon is probably the glue in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. She's very proactive. You can just follow her everywhere. She knows what she's doing, and I think Harry's really attracted to that. When she's walking off at night, I can't remember what he's doing, but he's notices
he's
her
spying on her. He sees her like getting ready to go out. He's doing some creeper
She's
stuff.
grabbing the rifle and grabs the dog, and she bolts off on the roof and bolts off. He has no idea where she's going, but he's following.
But I understand. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be creeping up on her, which it could be. But, like, he is very clear, like, this place sucks. I'm willing to do anything.
That's true.
What's she up to?
He's curious, and she's the only interesting thing there for him.
Yeah, he's like, is she going to a party? Secret African bushman party?
It was a secret African bushman party.
I know. See?
Me being
City instincts.
17 years old in high school, I believe that I knew enough to know not, like, if I were in Africa, not to just wander off.
Are they 17? How old
into
are they supposed to be
Africa in the
this?
middle of the night?
Well, in theory, Reese Witherspoon is 17.
Like, in real life, you're
in
telling
real
me.
life. So I don't know what it is there.
I'm guessing they're like 15 years old.
Yeah, so like
thinking that.
teenagers still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like 17, like you're really close to 18 and an adult. And that's not the sense I got. Like I got like 15, 16 at the most vibes.
Yeah.
Am I wrong on this?
No,
No,
I was
right.
thinking the
Yeah.
same thing.
But the cool thing is that, like, outside of him kind of somewhat creeping, but you can tell he was struggling with his bug spray and his trying to make sure he gets under the mosquito net and stuff like that to survive the night. But he had...
I'm going to tell you right quick, I'd be under that mosquito net.
I would be... One day one.
I would be... wearing that mosquito outfit. It'd be like a Sia outfit. Yeah, like Sia meets the beekeeper.
Yeah.
Like that would be my outfit.
See, that's why I thought he got some balls to actually followed her in the dark.
Yes.
Good for him.
Like ignorant balls.
That's true.
Like,
well, he's being led by something else.
I mean, because that's great that he's doing all. I mean, I know you were all in agreement. That's great that he's doing all this. Like, he's like, oh, where's she going? I'm like, you're in Africa, dude. She has a gun for her reason. Like, and her parents are aware of her ownership of this gun because you're in Africa now in night. Good job, buddy. But yeah, we get there and she sees Xhabbo and he is hurt and he has a message of warning, but she's like, whoa, like we got to figure out what's going on because there's a dead leopard next to you.
He like, shot that leopard to be like wanting to give him all the credit.
Or he speared that leopard.
I think he speared it, yeah. Stabbed it.
Or cheetah. We haven't figured that out.
I think it's a leopard.
It's a leopard.
Right.
Yeah.
I said cheetah, but that was very wrong.
Well, Harry shows up.
Almost getting killed.
Yeah, she almost shoots him, and Xhabbo has arrow pointed at him. He's like, "Whoa, it's just me," and he's like, "Oh, you're Harry. Well, you got to come to this cave with me." And Nonnie is not pleased with this at all. But they go to a cave, and it's super old, and it has cave paintings, and they, gather some herbs and put this on as an ointment on Xhabbo's wounds. Yeah. And again, like Harry's like, this is ridiculous. He needs like penicillin. Like you need to go to a doctor. And he is not about any of this.
And he has that pickup line that says, "Oh, I got Band-Aids back in my room."
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's sweet.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Big,
but
juicy Band-Aids.
But then from there, that's where she's like, no, we need to stay here. And like, he doesn't want to, but essentially, I'm seeing him like he's comparing like, yeah, I've camped in Central Park. It's the same thing as sleeping in a cave, so I can do it. I'm like,
here's a question: why did he camp in Central Park?
I didn't understand what he meant by that.
That was in his dream. I don't think any parent was like, sure, that was a good idea.
There's a hobby that he does on the weekends.
There's no way that this African girl's going to call me out on this bullshit. I can get away with saying these things.
I've climbed mountains you've never even heard of. That should be the running joke. Like all the things she doesn't know about America, like he could use against her. Like, you've never left Africa, have you? Like, I'm the mayor of Seattle.
You can get away with it, but not for
Mayor
long.
of Seattle.
Well, Xhabbo highlights no one should leave, that there's going to be a problem. And Nonnie highlights that he experienced what's called a tapping, where he could kind of see into the future. And Harry is not about any of this. He's like, this is nonsense. But he is convinced to stay, probably out of boredom. But they do sense maybe some kind of danger. And then we quickly awake in the morning and there are gunshots. Nonnie immediately runs back to her house. And this is, I just think like this, all of this is brutal. Yeah. She sneaks into the house and a bunch of dudes she has not seen, like almost military-esque, are in her house. They're raiding the place. Some dude with glasses is ordering people to like shoot the computers, to explode things. She sneaks around. The first image I thought was the worst. She sees Harry's dad dead. He is I believe just shot in the head. Yeah. Blood is all like out of his head on the floor. Like it's a brutal scene. And I think it's effective because her actions immediately, like, she loses her breath. Like, Jeremy, as you noted, she's like a badass, but like
well, yeah, she's a badass. She does for like 10 seconds. She's like, I can't believe this is happening. Like she's completely broken.
But
and then she's like,
but I believe it.
I'm gonna go get dynamite and blow up their vehicle.
Well, she keeps sneaking through. Then she sees her parents dead.
She's like fucking commando out there.
But when she sees Harry's dad dead, it knocks the wind out of her. Like you could just tell, like she's like, oh my god,
great acting.
But yeah, and then she sees her parents, and it's like it's what Jeremy said. It's this mixture of like, my world is over, I know where dynamite is. And like, it's kind of a fun, hard cut. Like, she's just like raiding dynamite, immediately lighting it off and throwing it under cars. And then some people corner her. She's under like some kind of Jeep or some kind of truck. And one fuse is going under another car. And she has the fuse going under hers, but the one behind her is about to go off. This is kind of a ballsy move. I mean, but what else are you going to do? This thing's about to explode, and she straight up just full-on runs. Just sprints in front of everyone. The main bad guy in glasses sees this. He like is like, I don't know, chewing on a toothpick or something, and he's like, he can't believe it. He's like, it's her, kill her. But then immediately, like, a truck explodes. The other truck explodes. Half the house explodes. And she just bolts. I like the scene. I thought, like, improbable, whatever most action films are. But, like, if you got out, it's because you just exploded everything. And I'm like, all right, I'm buying it.
So, dead parent number 2, number 3, and number 4.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, along with some more dead poachers.
Yeah, these are now orphans.
I think everyone got their heads blown off. Everyone dies in this scene except for the white guy with glasses.
Yeah, just like everyone is dead. It's crazy. And again, you're like, oh my God, I'm watching a Disney film and no one's pulling punches. Like, these people are dead.
Yeah, this is like 10 minutes into the film and there is just a pile of corpses.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this movie is brutal. I like it again for all of these reasons. It's just like, because I feel now the actions of what these kids are about to do, you're like, it was because of this. It wasn't because like one person died, one person got hurt. It was, holy shit, like your parents are dead. Your house is exploded. Nonnie immediately runs back and was like, Harry, you've got to stay here. Your parents are dead. He immediately flips the hell out. He screams like, I don't believe you. She runs to like a radio station. That guy's dead. So they've already got that guy. She runs back to the cave and is like, we got to get the hell out of here. Harry is totally freaking out. Xhabbo's like, okay, we're going to go this way, and this is how we're going to do it. And they kind of like go around. But yeah, all of that's kind of crazy.
So yeah, I think the suggestion is we're going to go where the wind goes, which is to the west. And that's which means they're going through the Kalahari desert.
Yeah.
The entire Kalahari desert.
Yeah. You can walk that. It's just a weekend. Come on.
So to be exact, that distant, and they kind of talk about it in some of the dialogue, is 2,000 kilometers, which is approximately 1,242 miles.
Yeah. If you were to like I said, if you were to cover 25 kilometers in a day, it would take you 80 days to cover 2,000 kilometers.
Oh, Jesus.
So they're trying to head west to Carlstown, which is, in theory, the closest town to where they are at right now. So that's kind of... And that's the thing, like, I felt like she had a good plan. She knew what she needed to do. But when the radio was shot up, they had to go elsewhere. And that's where... what do you call him? Xhabbo? That's not his... What's his name?
Xhabbo?
Xhabbo? Yes. That he suggested we got to go elsewhere just to get out of the place because they were all hunting them.
Yeah. And as Nemo...
in the morning.
Yeah, and as Nemo noted, quote unquote, like, if the wind can do it, we could do it. Sounds poetic. And then Harry sees it and is super not on board with this. Yeah, Harry basically freaks out. He's like, I'm not crossing this. This is impossible. I mean... You see this shot of the Kalahari, like the edge of it, and you're like, this looks impossible. And then later shots, as they're actually doing it, you're like,
That's one of my favorite things about this movie, though, are like the shots of like the desert. They're beautiful.
I know it's just desert, but yeah,
it's just endless.
The way they're shot is just beautiful. Just the angles when they're walking through it.
Yeah, so before they depart, I mean, Harry's like in his piss party, and he's like, I'm not doing it. And this is the thing, Nonnie's like, there is no other way. Like, you go back, you're going to die. Everyone that's alive probably wants us dead. I have no allies. I don't know where to go. Like, what do you want from me? This is the only way to do this. This is totally crazy. And Harry's like, this is crap. And I do like Nonnie goes, yeah, that crap saved your life.
Harry has a lame argument for this too. Every part of his side is just stupid. The way he acts
I agree.
All of every logic that he thinks he's bringing to the table is just stupid.
The sad thing is, Xhabbo also says, I like my vision was for me to see you and Harry. I didn't see your parents. And I was like, that's okay. So he's like, I'm sorry. I was like, that's messed up. Like, I'm sorry my vision wasn't good enough for you. I'm like, man. But yeah, they quickly go there. They're going through the Kalahari. There's no other way. Harry's still bitchy about all of this.
His shirt is still tucked in.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta remember that part.
Like, day one, the shirt is tucked in.
Oh, he is keeping a journal.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know about that till later, but every now and then it shows him writing.
I wonder if that was a nod to the author. It's one of the reasons I want to read the book. Like, did the author see himself in this? It is a British author. I don't know, like, what his experiences were. The books are well received. I would like to just, eventually read it one day.
Yeah. I also like how at this point in time, and for the rest of the movie, Xhabbo is like unofficially Harry's like emotional like narrator.
He's
like,
a spirit guy.
He like it narrates like Harry is feeling sad now.
That's true.
He says it all with that huge smile. He's got a great smile. So I mean, you got to believe it.
He also gives them like dating tips later.
Xhabbo quickly into this trip, they're like, they're going to be looking for us, and he spots some elephants and goes and convinces those elephants to cover their tracks. So they basically walk in front of them where a herd of elephants is in back of them, which is
smart,
super fun.
I do like the scene where he finds the elephants. It's like a climbing scene in the tree. They start at the base of the tree, and then it shows him climbing through it, but the camera pans up. And it just shows the tree, and it shows them emerging at the top, and it shows the elephants at the side. I just thought it was nicely shot.
Well, and they want to cover their tracks because the poachers now have a couple of like African trackers with them, and they were following the trail, and then they lose it because the elephants have trampled it.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm seeing all the scenery, I'm just thinking about Lion King.
That's true.
I'm like,
it's very Lion King-esque.
Were you thinking of the Lion King soundtrack?
Away.
Yep, and I was like, man, this is probably where they got all the animation. And then when you're in the desert, I was thinking about the Mummy. Lots of connection.
I love the Mummy.
Yep,
I love the Mummy so much.
so much.
Did Elton John ask you if you can feel the love tonight?
Oh my god. Oh, eventually there was a scene in there that did happen.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
he asked if you could feel the Mummy tonight.
I can't feel the Mummy.
But
Mummy feels you.
So no, I think the beginning of the transformation for Harry's character was all these trials and tribulation. He saw that Nonnie was doing her stuff and was able to like get fire started or like try to find food or whatever, and they're trying to survive the whole time while he's just complaining or whining like, I should probably do something.
I totally agree, Nemo. The transformation I think starts here because for now Harry's useless. Mm-hmm. Like he is just a passenger on there, and he's gonna have to split food and water, and he's like beyond useless. He's like a sponge to their supplies because they're like, we'll try to get you there. That's the best way, and he's totally complaining. But soon the journal will come up here in a moment where I think he I don't know, first really shows truer emotions towards Nonnie, I guess.
Yeah, it feels like that. I feel most of it is Xhabbo is really just schooling him on who this girl is.
Well, we get a plane that flies by. Mm-hmm. And so they're going through the desert, and we're kind of early on, and we're like, okay, this is great. So a plane's flying by, and Harry's like, hey, and Nonnie's like, whoa, we don't know who that is. That could be a bunch of poachers. He's like, I have an idea. So he's like, take off your clothes. So they're all basically in like tank tops and underwear, and they stuff their clothes that they were wearing with, I don't know, like desert debris. And then the plane like kind of like tips its wing, and she's like, oh, it's Ricketts. Like, I know that dude. And she runs out, and Ricketts has got a gun and is shooting the bodies. And she's like, wait a minute. That's not cool, Ricketts.
No.
And then Jeremy talked to me about getting Ricketts.
Ricketts doing a little drive-by.
Maybe he had Ricketts, and that's why he was trying to find the correct amount of elephant tusks to cure his disease.
That's the potion?
Yeah.
But I think that was the plot twist, is that she now realized that these poachers that her father and her
father, yes.
yes, were trying to, get rid of or trying to figure out who was the start of it is within her own group of people, which is Rickett.
These guys are just flying by looking for kids to shoot down because they're witnesses.
Yep.
Jesus.
What an effing villain, too. This dude is like super villain. So not only is he like killing do-gooding family members, the way he's earning money is poaching elephants. I'm like, oh my God, like you're the worst for everyone.
You got to double dip.
Like,
in this
who
economy.
wants to associate with you? Like,
Yeah, inflation's real.
It would have been fine if he got the kids.
yeah.
That's true.
Well, he couldn't do it.
Yeah, no.
And that's when Harry was all like, I did it.
Yeah.
I did something.
Harry's
I
proud.
proved a point.
He does. Yeah,
You're welcome.
And I do feel like from here on out, though, he is like an active participant in like, what can I do? Like, at least if I don't know, I'll learn. He does try to show all this. During this time, we get a scene where Mopani is just kind of like hanging around, and he is super pissed. And he is clearly going to go after whoever has done this. There's scenes, if I skipped it over or not, there were Ricketts is like, let it go, like our friends are dead. And later on, we'll see that too.
This is the 2-month skip.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like
'cause
they
it's been 2 months.
they kind of imply that like the journey from across the Kalahari is like the same distance from like New York to Miami or whatever. Like if you were to walk it, it would take 80 days.
Yeah.
And then
Ricketts is like, give it up.
yep, yeah. So Ricketts is telling him to quit, and he is not, because he's like a godfather or something.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of in the background, he's like, Nonnie's like my daughter. I treat her like this. And there's been enough talk that I feel that is established. Like, he is training her on the side to use a gun. All his views on poaching and what's happening in the country and the continent throughout seem to be very clearly passed down from him to her. That's where the disagreements were coming with her father. Like, she's more like Mopani, and he's like, hey, you need some vocal diplomacy sometimes, not just gun first. I do like that Mopani now is clearly gun first. Like, these people I like, I may have disagreed with her dad, but they were clearly good friends on the same side. And he's like, hell no. And this girl who's like, my daughter's gone, like, until I find a body, everyone's going to die. I'm like, all right.
Paul, I think he's actually holding a gun, too, in that scene. Where
He's ready.
Oh, yeah, he has a gun at all times.
Yeah.
Actually, I think from here on out, he's just gun in hand.
Gunned up.
And we mentioned that there was a 2-month gap. That's crazy. It cuts back to the kids.
Yeah, I mean, they're tanner. It's very clear with Harry. Harry almost looks older. His hair is much longer.
I like that.
Yeah,
They did a good job with that time skip.
Totally. They're like more tan. They're more red in the face. And this is where we get 2 months are gone, and we're camping, and everyone's attitude is different, which is interesting. And Xhabbo is telling Harry, Nonnie's single. It's time to marry her. And this is the T-shirt that we need. So he says, when Bushman is ready, Bushman marry. And I told Jeremy that's the T-shirt we need. So when Bushman is ready, Bushman marry.
Yeah, we're going to have to get Mike on that.
I kind of also thought that was kind of a thing where it's like a coming of age thing for Harry, where it's like, hey, when we started this journey, you're just you were nothing,
Totally.
but now you are like a fully fledged Bushman level.
Well, yeah, he's killing things.
Yeah, he's
now.
a proficient.
Yeah.
We get right to a hunting scene. So Kembak, are we saying these are like the antelope?
Yeah, they're the desert antelope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Harry's been trained with a bow and arrow, and he's really timid about this, but he does kill one, and he's really sad about it. And I understand. And Xhabbo the whole time is saying, you only kill what you need. And Harry's keeping a journal. And at this point in time, he's noting that the Kembak have come back, that they've accepted the death of one of their own. Before, he had a journal that, and I skipped this really quick. Nonnie looks at it, and this is like before all of this. But Nonnie looks at it, and she's like, "Why is my name in this?" And he's like, "Don't read my journal." And you could tell that he's more infatuated with her. And as everyone has pointed out, that she's such a strong character that she's leading him. And I think those are the notes, and he's embarrassed about this, but yeah.
So then after he kills the desert antelope, which I still don't know how to spell that that category, He's trying to make something for her, like trying to measure out her measurement to like make her a shirt.
Yeah, he takes the skin. I guess he's like drying it out as they're walking and then taking measurements. Like Colin's like, is he measuring her? So, and late at night he takes off his belt, and I was like, he's gonna choke her. he takes off his belt.
It's Disney movies.
Hey, we've seen a lot in this one. And
the carradine.
And he's basically measuring her, and he makes her basically like a shirt vest out of the skin, the pelt.
Yes.
I don't know if I can. In 2 months, do you think he acquired his skills?
Well, he said Xhabbo was helping the whole time.
Yeah,
there's guidance there. He didn't do it himself.
Xhabbo made a vest.
It was perfectly
guys, I'm gonna throw
tanned.
this out. You're questioning this. I think for 2 months you had nothing to do.
But what is he teaching him on for those 2 months? Like this was his first kill.
Probably like, I don't know, like how to like. You're in the desert.
Like palm leaves.
I was gonna say like how to dry out the skin like properly at night, and how to lay it out, where to punch, where to like measure. I'm sure there's enough. 2 months. Like this is your one project for 2 months. Like you probably got good. You got good quick.
He did teach him how to. We didn't see the footage of him. Like there was no montage of him showing Harry how to kill this animal, but there was like that scene with the bow and arrow. I'm assuming that they made that bow and arrow too, so that was another.
Oh yeah.
That there was also a scene where they discover water in the desert by the plants.
Oh,
I'm assuming he learned that as well.
Well, you could also tell Reese Witherspoon did not know that tactic, because later she's in the desert and like almost grabs it like it's the like communal supplies. Like I got the feeling it was like, hey, La-Mar, it's your turn to go get some water. Like take the sack.
Yeah, get the sack and a straw. Let's go out.
Right. And she grabs it and goes scouting. Yeah. I mean, I feel everyone by the end of the movie is somewhat proficient in what they need to do to survive.
Yeah. And it's kind of believable, except for I don't believe the whole shirt thing, but I'll let it slide.
Well, you didn't see all the shirts they left behind.
That's true.
All the
shirts.
shirts. Yeah.
A trail of dead antelope. They became the poachers.
We killed 500 antelope.
The movie was poachers forced them to the desert where they had to become poachers to survive.
Yeah. They made
survive their boredom.
They made the desert antelope an endangered species to try to make sure it's for a girl.
Well, here's a question I have. I mean, not that anyone really has an answer in this room. Is like, what was the path that they were on? Because I know nothing of the Kalahari Desert, but the topography of it is strange, because now we're in like this swamp house. There's like this old house, and they've been edging around. There's certain like debris and trees. Like you imagine desert and you see it. Like you see those dunes, like mummy style desert scenes. You totally see it. But sometimes where we're at now, we stumble upon like some small house in some like swampy land with a bunch of crocodiles.
Yeah, I didn't get that, dude. I really did not. Where are they now? Because then later on, they're back in like these barren dunes.
Yeah, I don't know the lay of the land or like how this is, but like, yeah, they're in this like really weird swampy area, and some like weird dude is got some dogs.
Lots of dogs.
Yeah, lots of dogs.
What good is a desert without a redneck oasis?
That's exactly what it was.
It's the trailer park of the Kalahari.
Nice.
They had dogs just locked up in a bin, just like redneck would, and I don't know, in the outskirts of wherever.
Tallahassee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so they're kind of running through. Hensa the dog is barking up a storm, and all these other dogs hear this, and this guy's like, oh, I don't know, go get him. I love, we were watching this, Nemo's like, I think Nemo said, there's like, out of all these dogs, no one's trained except for the one dog, like randomly walking in the woods, which is Hensa. So these dogs just bolt. I mean, because the swampland, there's like crocodiles like 5 feet from this guy's front door. Like, hell no. So all these dogs start running after them. They run, and they have to cross over this broken down huge tree. Everyone gets across, and when Harry, who is last as a human, is crossing over, the tree branch falls down even farther. He narrowly escapes and goes up, but Hensa fends off this group of dogs. I love that Colin said, any dog that could fend off a group of dogs is like it's worth its weight in
dog.
That's the keeper.
Yeah, I mean, this dog's badass. This dog is a Rhodesian Ridgeback. Super cool dogs. I knew a little bit about them. One of my friends had one once. They were used to hunt lions in Africa, like crazy.
That's awesome.
Which makes sense why the dog was actually in this movie.
Yeah. Which like props.
And then somebody's like, these guns work a lot better to hunt lions.
Well, props to the people who put it together. Yeah, they actually got a real dog that could do this and was known for these things. But yeah,
seeing is bonkers. It has a dog fighting 20 other dogs, and they're trying to save Harry.
Yeah, and the dog is about to like die, and Harry and Nonnie are like, "You gotta jump," and the dog jumps, and Harry's the one who catches it. Or we see a stuffed animal.
I think that was Michael Vick's cabin that they.
Oh man, that's.
Yeah, no, it was like. We know anytime there's a dog in a movie, someone's like, dog's gonna die. So we forgot to mention during this whole trek, there's a dog with them the whole time through this like 2 months of in the desert, walking through the sand.
We never really see an end to the dog, unfortunately.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we know the dog lives, but we never really.
I know, and so that's why when it was that scene, and it was like, is the dog gonna actually make it against the other dog, and is it gonna jump? And then we see the stuffed animal. I'm like, oh. He got it.
And then we get this weird scene where we're back at this bar and Ricketts is conducting business at some weird bar shack, and he meets this guy, and clearly it's about to like, I'm going to sell you some stuff. You're going to find out what's going on. And the bartender's like, hey, I found this necklace. You want to buy it? Like super random. And he's like, it says Nonnie. And he's like, whoa, what the hell? So he immediately shuts down business. That is Ricketts. And he goes to that guy we talked about before wearing the glasses. And I think his name is like Jardin. I don't think it's ever said, and I looked it up, and I think that's the right character. But he's like, hey, remember like I told you to pick up those bodies in the desert, like when I shot him with a gun? You like got those bodies, right? He's like, yeah, I did. Crikey, mate. I totally did.
Is he Australian?
I think he might be. But he is now. And he's like, oh, that's great. And then they go up in the helicopter, and Ricketts shoots him in the head and throws him out of the helicopter.
Yeah, that poor guy.
Well, I'm like, why did you get him in the helicopter?
Yeah.
Like, I got a mess.
I know.
Like, dude, shoot him before you get in the helicopter.
Plausible deniability.
Right, you're also in like some weird swamp, like that no one knows about.
And I like how he like doesn't even. He shoots them when they're like 6 feet off the ground. So he just falls a short distance.
That was to show the swamp bartender, like, hey, next time I want a free drink, or next time I want it made a certain way, you make it a certain way.
There you go. Yeah. Send a message.
I mean, I think I said it earlier, where it's, if you just shoot them, you're murdering them, and everyone sees you murder this guy. But if you shoot him in the helicopter, it could be an accident. He maybe fell out of the helicopter onto some bullets.
I like that this movie has a lot of serious ups and downs emotionally, because I don't know, there are like fun moments when you do find out that Harry is more like realistically infatuated with Nonnie, and he is like making her this present. Like, I like those scenes. There is another scene that I also like. They're sitting kind of back to back. And as we talked about, like, jokingly, I agree with Jeremy. Like, the parents are dead, but they seem to kind of get over it quickly. I mean, in some ways I could rationalize day 1 and 2, you're probably in so much shock. You're just, like, out of there and walking.
Yeah.
But later on, you're like, you got to be like, wow. But there is a scene, they're kind of sitting back to back, and it's not romantic. It's just kind of very nice. And it's two people talking about their own grief. They're like, my parents are dead. This is the first time they could decompress, and it's just Nonnie and it's just Harry. And they're hugging a lot during it. Like, they'll say things, they'll hug back and forth. Nonnie's like, it's silly, but I miss my birds. Like, I'd wake up every morning, my mom gave them to me. Like, I'm never going to see them, but it's a reminder of my mom. They hug again. It's just like a very nice scene. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's, again, not romantic. It's just a very kids becoming adults, but like accepting it. I don't know. I thought that was a well done scene.
I like that scene because you were kind of expecting a romance at that time, based off the pacing of the movie. Like, these kids got to hook up, right? But
desert hookup,
but not at this time.
Go find some water.
Kind of expect it there, but it's shot at night. I like that part too.
Yeah,
and the back to back, you keep expecting them to kiss, but it gets emotionally charged to the point where they're talking about their parents, and they're connecting on a different level in a different way than what you expect.
Yeah, and you could clearly tell they both, like, now at this point in time, mutually respect, or each respect one another, and they're very bonded. I mean, I can't imagine psychologically any of us wouldn't be bonded in similar ways if we saw our parents die, we're being rushed into a desert, this has been your life for 2 months, like, but now, once Ricketts leaves this bar area, you could tell, like, that's why I said the ups and downs, like, there's like this beautiful, like, loss of innocence, these adolescent emotions becoming adults, but now you could see the group's done. Like, the group is at, like...
They're at the last...
Yeah. They're out of water.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't know where we're at.
The lips are chapped.
Well, but Xhabbo got stung by a scorpion.
Yeah, that's like that's like the, like, so you could see, like, they're like kind of done, and then Xhabbo's stung by a scorpion, and then it's like you don't even know what to do. So he survives. I assume they got the venom out, but he is like wounded. They're walking even slower. Yeah, this is like heartbreaking too. Like, these pacing of the scenes. I think the whole reason I like this movie, I'll say this, for horror movies, I'll say it like this. When things are trying to track down kids and kids are resilient like this is why I like the first half of It. Even though it's heartbreaking and awful, it's kids being like, go to hell. Like, we're kids and you cannot keep us down. But yeah, Nonnie starts to hallucinate. I like this, and I will also defend this, and one of the reasons I like this film. We've talked about the tapping before, and Xhabbo is kind of seeing that there's danger. He is causing a tapping, but also Nonnie starts tapping on her own. She gets to her knees, kind of starts pounding her chest, closes her eyes just like Xhabbo does, and a helicopter comes up. She thinks at first it's an hallucination. It is Ricketts holding a gun, like, I don't know, hundreds of feet away, if that. And she basically creates a sandstorm, or so we think, or who knows. And I love it. I love that this movie houses one kind of mystical thing, doesn't fully explain it, and it just doesn't always happen. This is literally why I love The Twilight Zone. This is why I love all sorts of movies that are like, hey, what if one magical device existed? How would you interact with it? Not, what if all magic devices? It's not like Harry Potter where everything's magic. It's just like, what the hell? And you don't know. You're left as an audience to wonder, and Ricketts flies off. He takes 1,000,000 shots, and I like the pilot's like, he's like, you gotta, here, yeah, dude. He's like, you gotta get closer. He's like, dude, like, can you see in front? Right? Can you see in front of you? So the pilot takes off, and they leave, and then they're basically covered in sand. You could tell that Nonnie was able to get a little bit further, which probably saved all of their lives. And then basically, you see some kids, and you see Carlstown, and the beach, and the ocean, and some kids just standing there, and some little girl's like, oh my God, Mom! And then the next scene you see is they're all in the hospital. They're alive. Like, those little kids found them in time and revived all of them. I assume the dog is still alive.
I think there is that dog scene later on.
If so, that's it. Like, I want to say that, like, you do see the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say it's alive.
Yeah.
I also like the immediacy of the next scene. So you're like, this is like cut.
I love these cuts though.
Yeah, and I think they're done really well. So it's like sandstorm, cut. We're in the hospital. Okay, these kids are okay. Cut. Then Mopani shows up, and Mopani's like, oh my God, like, you're alive. I've been looking for you. It's kind of like this very brief, heartwarming scene. And immediately Reese Witherspoon's like, it's Ricketts. It's John Ricketts. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's him the whole time. And immediately helicopter cut, like hard cut. And you're like, John Ricketts, like, we've got to detain this guy immediately. Like, you could also tell in his eyes, like, holy shit. Like, that was the cut, right? Like,
yep, that was the one.
Like, he acknowledges this piece of shit was in his inner circle the whole time. And you could just tell this guy's like, I'm going to go kill him.
So,
and Nonnie one is in on that too.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I think what ties back to it was that when they were originally searching for the kids, they had pointed out Ricketts' like mine area, and they're like, "Oh, that's his mine. It's okay. We don't need to look there.
We don't need to look there."
And then at the end, that is where Nonnie and
that same mine.
Nonnie's in that same mine that they had pointed out.
You could tell that like Mopani's probably extra pissed. Yeah, just as Nemo said, like, he was aware of this mine the whole time, but didn't think it was this guy, so he overlooked it because he was a thorough dude. Yeah, so they go to this mine. It's Mopani, Harry, and Nonnie. Xhabbo
with no backup.
Yeah, Xhabbo is in the hospital. He has got an allergic reaction, I think, to the antibiotics, but he'll be okay. The dog seems okay, but it's them three, and they go in, and it is an insane amount of tusks.
Yeah, like they traveled to other planets and killed their elephants and brought their tusks back to this mine.
Yeah, so you got to think like this operation has been going on for blank amount of years, and it would be thousands upon thousands of elephants that were killed. That's why I said like this guy is like. Let's turn this movie more into like a comedy for a second. If you were a villain that wanted to like team up with another villain, you would be so disgusted by this guy. Like, like, what do you do? Like, I want to rob future banks and stuff like this. What do you do? I slaughter elephants and I'm currently hunting children. I'm a hard pass to that team up.
There's there's a comic book crossover, Marvel and DC, but it has the Joker and Red Skull. They're hunting Batman and Captain America, and even the Joker is disgusted by Red Skull. You're a Nazi. I can't affiliate with you. It's like a different level of villainry that you can't even roll with.
Just imagine it's like a huge poaching empire that has a really bad marketing department. They just can't quite push the sales for them.
God, this guy's the worst. Why did we hire him?
Yeah, but there were just piles and piles and piles of tusks, and I think that's where they're like, we can't, like, these are corpses.
Yeah,
these are bodies.
One of my favorite quotes comes from Nonnie, where Harry's like, "Whoa!" Like, so they're laying down like the long fuse, and Harry's like, "Wait!" Like, and he doesn't go on. Like, maybe we shouldn't. And
there's a hint of it.
Yeah, and you could tell, and I like that it wasn't explained or talked about more, and Nonnie immediately just goes, these are corpses, we need to bury them.
Shut it down.
And I'm like, hell yes. Like, I don't know, like, again, like, so you have all this, like, what would you do with it? The only thing I would probably want ever to come about this, I would like, you'd want to, like, donate it to a museum. Like, I wouldn't want a dime from this. Like, how awful, like, people are dead, all these elephants are dead, like, this is terrible. But hey, John Ricketts shows up with a gun. He's like, I'm Ricketts.
It's like, what are you doing with my tusk, damn it?
And because Harry was in the back, he was able to knock.
Harry pulls a sweet move.
I was surprised. He actually knocked down a whole pile of tusk onto Ricketts, which I was hoping he was going to stab him.
John Ricketts has got the gun on Nonnie and Mopani, and as Nemo said, he's like, hiya. He gives a little kick to these tusks. and then Ricketts is buried in tusks. And Nonnie takes his gun and points it right at his face. And probably should have shot him, but Mopani does have compassion. I think Mopani would have shot him. I feel confident.
Like if he was just there without the kids, you're dead.
Especially knowing that he's been hunting Nonnie down. Oh my god, this guy would. But I think he's like, I can't let. I don't know. I'm maybe thinking too much. But there's this father-like connection, and Mopani's like, no, don't do this. And she thinks about it, kind of takes the gun. They lead him outside, and they keep laying down the cable. And he's like, dude, there are millions of dollars. I would have to say more than just millions of dollars of tusks. Like, one tusk was like as big as my body. And there were so many. But they light the fuse. He's like, you're idiots. Like, I'm going to stop the fuse. And like a villain out of DuckTales obsessed with gold.
My God.
He runs into the cave thinking he's going to put out the fuse, but you see the whole thing explodes. And, you know...
I'm glad we were thinking the same thing with the DuckTales.
Right. But even though Mike might not be here, what happened to Ricketts? What would we say?
Oh, you ain't getting up from that. I can't believe it. I can't believe you have that on there. Yeah. Oh, my God.
La-Mar, what would he say?
Oh, you ain't getting up from that.
Mike does make an appearance tonight.
This podcast just went next level.
But,
oh my God.
No, I think Mike would have sold the fucking ivory, dude.
He does, in fact, get up from that in a far off place,
he does.
too. Yeah. He just comes back in the sequel.
But we don't see the body. Eh?
Comes back as a tusk.
He's Tusk Man now.
Tusken Raider.
He could have been in Tusk. We don't know.
That's true. He probably sold all the Tusk and he's coming back in a robot suit.
Well, the movie has kind of two slight brief endings, and the first ending is at an airport. Harry is about to take a plane to go back home, I assume to New York. We don't really know.
Do some skiing in Utah.
Yeah, we don't really know what his life has in store for the future, which is kind of sad. And Xhabbo just leaves.
Yeah,
I like
that. I'm gonna walk back home now.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's like, you know, he goes to Nonnie. Well, he says goodbye to both of them, but then he takes Nonnie aside. And he's like, we started this together, and now we stop. And he's like, I won't look back. And he just walks, like he knows the direction to go, and he just leaves. I think Jeremy's like, he's going back through the Kalahari Desert.
Probably.
That's the word. He's like, ah, damn.
He did it once. He could do it again. Now he doesn't have this dead weight with him.
True.
Yeah,
Be much faster too.
Yeah.
probably. He's like, the only thing that could stop me now are scorpions.
Like I think
Or
they
those
could
10 dogs.
Well, I think they're on the other side. They're back on the side they had originally started from.
I would have.
Yeah.
Kind
But
of
if they weren't, I would have asked Harry to give me a ride on this plane
doesn't-
back to my village.
He doesn't believe in those planes. Yeah, so he leaves, and that's kind of where the story ends, and everyone's gone. But there is an extended end, and it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know really what they're doing, but it's Nonnie is cleaning up the rubble of her house with Mopani.
Yeah,
but
something like
you
that.
think there would be like a bigger crew. I don't know, it's kind of bizarre. It's a very quick scene, but I do like it. Oh wait, before they leave the airport, they do kiss. Harry and Nonnie kiss, and they say goodbye. And
Nonnie tells him not to look back, and he doesn't look back.
yeah, he doesn't.
But then
later it works.
There's a scene where it cuts to them rebuilding.
Yeah.
And Harry does come back.
He does come back, and he brings birds. He remembers that she loved the birds.
The birds, they lived.
Yeah, and
I don't think it was the same two birds. Sorry to break it to you, La-Mar. I don't think it was the same
Don't
two birds.
ruin the moment. Those birds
were
lived.
eliminated.
I actually thought this last scene was smart because no one
was
says
good.
anything. It's really just like a nice, beautiful scene because they've gone through so much together. Now I'd assume 3 months probably in the desert, probably about 5 months with all of this. Who knows how long he's been gone? So I'm guessing 4 to 5
That's
months.
a hell of a vacation he had there.
Yeah. So the last scene is she sees the birds and like runs up, and she jumps into his arms and he kind of swings her up, and it kind of stops, and you see the silhouette, you see both of them, and it's not like, how did you get here? How long are you staying? What's going on? You just left to wonder, and I think that's the best place to leave it. You just don't know.
Yeah. Any longer, and you would worry about what happened to those birds in the cage. They're twirling
That's
around.
true. You don't want to do that.
Tweet those birds.
Oh, you can get enough from that.
So yeah, as always, before we give you our final review,
I can't believe this is happening.
before we give you our final review, hit us up. Rabbit Troop Sucks podcast at gmail.com. If you have some interesting films that you would like us to review, some suggestions, something interesting to say, let us know. Or go to rabbittroopsucks.com, where we have some pictures and merchandise and links and some of our episodes. All of our episodes could be streamed anywhere podcasts are played. Hit us up on Instagram or Facebook. And please leave us reviews. If you're listening to our podcast, 5 out of 5 reviews are preferable. I mean, I've been pretty upfront with how I like this movie. As one of the reasons I chose it. I like it. I saw this, I'm pretty sure, with Jeremy when it came out. What are all of your views? Nemo, what do you think of A Far Off Place, 1993?
So I thought it was a very sweet movie. It's supposed to be family friendly in some capacity. It is, and it's a typical, not as typical Disney movie, but I could see why it may have not aged well, and so nowadays I think people would not really see that movie that way. And then knowing that this all kind of took place in South Africa and whatnot, knowing that apartheid was happening at that time and that it was going to end in 94. I think that's why things have changed for the movie itself.
Yeah, and do you think, as I noted before, like, do you think that's one of the massive reasons, like, people are just not bringing this movie up, or like...
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that's a big part of it. But like, people didn't think about that at that time, like, because I was 93. But yeah, and for me, coming into the movie knowing that it's Disney, I knew what to expect. But at the same time, I did like the fact that they did speak some of the language, the Zulu and Tosa language.
I saw that in part of the trivia that Reese Witherspoon learned that. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, so that was good. Right. But you know, would it hold up to time? Definitely not. But it's nice.
I think it does stand a test of time for a movie that wants to get a message across. The message is poaching is wrong, and don't mess with kids. And
Disney. That's your next T-shirt right there. Don't mess with kids.
I feel the Disney vibe from this movie. I don't know what it is. Even with all the killing and the bloodshed, this is full Disney goodness right here, baby. I like this movie a lot. I have no idea why I agreed to watch this with you, start to finish. I can't really hate any part of this movie. It's fantastic. Isn't the greatest thing on earth? No, but just for what it is. How long was this movie? I can't even the time.
107 minutes.
Jeez. Really?
Yeah.
Wow, it flew by, and the message got through. Reese Witherspoon is fantastic in this movie. I'll say that. I really liked her in this.
What are you thinking, Jeremy?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Obviously, we saw it many years ago, but and this is like the first time I've seen it since then. So it's been almost over 30 years since we saw this movie.
It was 31 years ago.
Yeah, 31 years ago. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. There were some things that again just kind of threw me off with like it is a very violent at the beginning, and it's like you want to get revenge on these evil people, and then there's like when they're in the desert, just the three of them and the dog, it's kind of jovial, like they're joking around. Yeah, so it's like really dark, but it lighthearted at the same time. That kind of threw like my emotional aspect off of this movie, but overall, I mean, it's entertaining. I like watching it. I love the sweeping vistas of of whatever desert that they were filming in. I don't know if it's the Kalahari or not. I'm not like a desert expert, but yeah, I enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, does anybody know where this movie was? Did they really shoot it in the desert, or it was a soundstage? And
it was
Utah.
It was Zimbabwe and Namibia.
Yeah, so which is in the Kalahari desert. So that's why I said
Kalahari.
That's why I was like, but they weren't in South Africa at the time.
All right.
They really left the kids in the desert for 2 months, and
yeah. It's like a loan. Like, we were gonna give you guys some cameras. Have fun.
Speaking of which, all those scenes I thought were not all of them. You can tell where the soundstage scenes were and where the real life shots were, but the real life shots were amazing. Collin, what did you think of this movie?
I liked it a lot too. I really liked how they were able to kind of do a lot with very little, like Paul said at the end, where they had a couple scenes where they didn't really say anything, but they still had a huge impact. I think kind of the only problem was, for a full movie, they just didn't really have that many. There weren't enough like acts to kind of like fill up a feature length film. Like, one of the big complaints that we usually have is like, oh man, there's so much you could just cut out of this.
Right.
And this movie could be
it could be longer and even better. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or it could be half an hour and just.
That's a dangerous way to go. Yeah. You can add stuff in and really just ruin it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like they could do no wrong with this movie. Even that they added in a 2 or 3 minute scene, probably could have helped it out. I agree with you on that.
So it's like, but overall, for like you said, for what it is, I thought it was really, really well done. I thought it was really good.
Was it a far off place?
It's going to be a near place to my heart.
There you go. Keep it near to your heart.
There was interesting people that auditioned for this. So it was EDK, who plays Finch in American Pie. He auditioned for Ethan Embry's character. I know from listening to Pod Meets World that Will Friedle auditioned for this because he noted that. For Nonnie, it notes Christina Ricci and Naomi Watts auditioned for this.
Wow.
And Naomi Watts is older, and I'm not saying that to be disparaging against that. I'm just like, then what would the angle have been in this film if she was older?
They probably would have casted an older opposite to him,
So
made
like,
it more romantic.
So you're like 20 or like 18 years old walking in the desert, 20. Because I think we looked up that it's like she's like at least 10 years older than Reese Witherspoon.
Wow, that would have really changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like they killed my husband. I'm gonna get revenge.
Yeah, that would have been way different. I a big selling point for me rewatching this movie, or a couple for me. One, I truly believe, even though it's not shown to us, and this is what could have been like a little more. Ethan Embry's character, his change, as Jeremy and I talked about, I truly believe that he's this brat, and you're not supposed to like him, and I don't like him. Like, he is whiny about everything. But halfway through the movie, I do like him. Like, I actively like him. I feel he's a completely different character. That totally, I buy it. I think they could have sold it to me more, but I do buy through his acting what's happening. I like the thread of romance throughout this film. I thought it was done very carefully. I just feel like every moment that there is like a romantic touch, it's very brief. There are only a few of them, and each one is done like with just kind of like honesty and niceties. I don't know. It just like it plays off well. I think both these characters do well. Nemo, you said you saw Sweet Home Alabama. I've seen this movie ages ago. Do you feel they both play off well as friends in that movie?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think because he is specifically the gay friend, it was even cuter. And so I was like, "Aw, you guys can't have a real romantic relationship."
I hope they're friends in real life. That would be fun.
Yeah, no, I've seen that, and so I came in knowing that, and so that chemistry made sense for them to, have that budding potential romance, but then knowing ultimately he's gonna be gay.
I love it. I also love the score of this movie. Going back and listening to it, I saw that the composer unfortunately died. Kind of not at it was a plane crash. I knew there was something. Yeah, it was like, I think it was like late 50s. I want to say like he wasn't super old and he did some notable things. But I like the score. I thought it did well.
Did he do other Disney stuff, or did he branch out?
I can't remember if it was just Disney, but there was like notable stuff that he did, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But it was like some kind of weird plane crash that he was in. He was flying the plane, and he was like licensed, and it just like went wrong, I guess, which is super unfortunate. But yeah, I feel a lot of elements of this movie just really come together. I mean, it seems like maybe like some of you in the room are like, would it hold up? ? It's just crazy that it's not streaming on Disney. Like, this movie has notable people and it's a Disney film. I'm
telling you, man, it's because of all the... this is like the most violent Disney movie.
Like Deadpool's on the Disney Channel.
Disney Plus, they have Star Wars and the Marvel stuff. I think it's just because when it was produced...
It's definitely politics. It has nothing to do with death tolls.
I totally think
that's true. If you go back to 90s.
Butchering elephants we've gone too far.
There's a lot of Disney stuff not on Disney Plus, and I don't think it's because of the violence. I think it's just their owners. I think there's other issues involved.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
You find out that this movie's like being like Russia owns the rights to it. That's why like it can't play over here.
One Russian and one China, man.
Russia, they love fucking killing elephants.
They're locking it down.
What is it? Chinese man from Firewalker?
He's keeping the tabs on this movie. We can't get to it.
Well, coming up next, everybody, we have 1995's Screamers. This is Jeremy's choosing. We need a catchphrase because last time I liked that it was Colin's choice. Nemo, how was co-hosting duties today? You feel pretty good with Far Off Place?
Yeah. Yes, I would say so, but I think y'all were really helpful in this too. So it's good to be back.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
You did some good lifting. You're sitting in Mike's chair.
I know.
I just want that to be out in the ether.
Yes, I am sitting in his chair.
What would Mike say about this?
Do it.
Oh, you ain't getting up from that.
There we go.
Yep, just like that.
Is that how you'd say it?
Exactly like that.
It's like he's still here with us.
Yep.
He is. Well, thanks for listening, and we actively encourage you to search out Far Off Place or read the books. Again, the books are two. There is A Far Off Place and A Story Like the Wind by Lawrence Vanderpost. Again, this is on my bucket list of books to read. And if you know anything about this movie or like to share with us, let us know. Or do you got some cool Disney movies? I got a cool Disney movie that could be good for Halloween at some point. But, as always, Jeremy, I'm glad to have you in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
Nemo, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah.
And as always, Rabbit Troop.
Oh, you ain't getting up from that.